Alright guys, what's going on? This is Ben Hersick back with another episode of the Armchair, Armdrager podcast. This week, it's G1 week. They start on Friday or Saturday. Saturday, I believe. June 6th on Saturday. So we're going to break down and predict the entire tournament. And I'll give you my finalist and my winner. And I'm surprised. Usually they have flip-flop between who's going to win a tournament like this about 7 or 8 times before the actual tournament starts. Every time I've redone the math because I thought, oh, this person might actually win this match or this person might lose that match, the winner has always stayed the same. The finals have always stayed the same. My top 2 are the 2 guys I think are going to be in the finals. I feel like it's going to be a good conclusion to that story, but before we get to that, I do have stuff to plug, like always. You can always follow me on Twitter at ChurroSalader. You can follow this podcast at Podcast Armchair. I want to get more active on that account on Twitter, but I don't know what to tweet. I already do live tweets for All Things Combat. For those who don't know, All Things Combat is a website I write for where we cover boxing, MMA, and professional wrestling. I already do live tweets there, so what else can I really do on my podcast's Twitter account? If anybody has any ideas, I'd love to hear it. Maybe like daily tweets about something. Like, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? Who's your least favorite at this? Who's your least favorite at that? Something along those lines, maybe. I don't know. What else has been going on? I recently have a couple articles set to go up soon. For over on All Things Combat, we are continuing our SummerSlam review series. We are up to the 2000s. We just recently did, I believe it was 2000. I think 2002 is going up tomorrow on Friday, along with the G1 article. So SummerSlam reviews are still going on. My next one is 2003, and I already told Josh this, and all the other guys know I haven't even started it yet. And it's supposed to go up on Monday. So, who knows? Might be a short one. If it's short, it doesn't matter. It's still going to hit all the major points about that era and that year of wrestling. I'm very excited to look into it. SummerSlam is always a really good show, even if it's a bad show. It'll be interesting this year because of the stories that could be going into SummerSlam. I also I had articles that go up about how did they get here. That is an article series where I look at a certain wrestler and focus on their journey to the top. If you're one of my friends on Facebook, I recently have been not sharing articles there because I'm bad at social media. I'm bad at life in general. What am I saying? But I've been reposting all the articles there as often as I can. I reposted both of my other SummerSlam reviews. I've reposted the How Did They Get Theirs on Mia Yim and Yoshihashi. The one that just went up yesterday is about Charlie Morgan, who unfortunately had to retire. I believe it was on Sunday last week. I'm actually going to check real quick because I want it to be right. Yeah, it was Sunday she retired due to injuries, and she's just not able to compete at that high of a level anymore. It's unfortunate she was only 27 that she had to retire. So I felt like it would be good to kind of have her be a breather between New Japan ones. She was a very talented wrestler, and I was looking forward to see what she could do with the rest of her career, and now her career is over. That's the best way I can put it. It's a shame. I was a big fan of hers, and hopefully we see what she can do here in the future, whether it's pro wrestling related or not. Very curious to see how it goes, and hoping for the best for her. But also, I do have another article coming out not next week. Aside from the G1 article, I have another How Did They Get Here coming out on Saturday about the 31-year career of Minoru Suzuki. This man has done a lot. I cover a lot, and I'm very excited to have you guys see that. So, now that all that's kind of out of the way, I would talk about WWE a lot this week because they have done a lot right. They did a lot really good. Raw was fantastic, a good start. Graves just broke everything and just sweared on live television. A lot of good matches, a lot of good segments, a lot of good story building. SmackDown was also, I say it was good. There was no explosion, so it was worse than Raw. But it was still really good. Kofi gave Joe the bird. I thought that was actually really interesting. Something you don't usually see in the WWE product these days. A really good tag team main event. A surprise Kevin Owens turn. There'll be more about WWE next week, as Extreme Rules is coming up very fast. Which makes me wonder, maybe we're not going to see Balor defend the title at Extreme Rules, and then at SummerSlam, one of the big matches is Balor versus Nakamura. And that would be really interesting. I also saw a rumored match card going around where it's Nakamura, Balor, and Andrade, which would be really cool because you would have Bullet Club versus Chaos versus Los Ingobernables. And that would actually be a really interesting match. All three guys have different styles, and they all work really well. I think they could at least. But enough about WWE this week. Next week, they get all the focus next week. They have a pay-per-view coming up. I'm mildly intrigued, I will say. I need to see one more week before I can actually say if I'm interested or not. Also, if the guys at All Things Combat are listening, I hope they are, first of all. Hey, guys. If they are, I would like to point out, I ran the table at Stomping Ground. I got every single match right. Josh and Token didn't do that. I'm coming back for a title I should never have lost, guys. I want my predictions championship back. I'm not going to say when. I'm not going to say where. But I am going to be coming for that title soon. But anyway, back to real wrestling. Back to real championships. The G1 Climax tournament is coming. Like I said, it starts on Saturday, June 5th, July 5th. I don't even know where I am anymore. Who am I? I believe it starts the 5th. I might be crazy. I hope I'm not crazy. And I actually have the Wikipedia tab already pulled up. There it is. I had to find the right one. 2019. July 6th. Yep, on Saturday. Today's Thursday. So, we go into the tournament. We have the 20-person field. I'm still surprised the likes of Yoshihashi and Minoru Suzuki were left out. I think Brody King would have been really interesting to see in the field. And you could have easily gotten a fourth guy from CMLL or Rev Pro. Well, more CMLL, I would guess. But not a lot of people would know. It's always like a fine line. I want the tournament to expand to 24. You can get 20 junior heavyweights, 24 heavyweights. Well, in this case, it's 16 heavyweights and 4 junior heavyweights. 3 junior heavyweights, so 17. Math, who cares? I'm not going to school for math. A lot of big names in this group. You had Tomohiro Ishii, Tetsuya Naito, Jon Moxley, Shingo Takagi, who just is coming off of a really, really great Best of the Super Juniors run. Ran the table in block action, but did not win the final. Jay White's in the tournament. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Sanada, Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay, who is the junior heavyweight champion and the winner of the Best of the Super Juniors. Kazuchika Okada, the current IWGP heavyweight champion. Kota Ibushi, Evil, and the surprise heard round the wrestling world when he debuted at Dominion, Kenta. Kenta is in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I am very excited for that because he's a talent who he did everything in Pro Wrestling Noah. Went to WWE and he was good there. He had to undergo a name change, to be fair, but I think we could see the rebirth of the former Hideo Itami, and it would be really interesting to see, simply because of the fact that a lot of us didn't get to see him as Kenta. A lot of us heard the name. Some of us got to see him. I never got a chance to watch him live as Kenta in Noah. So now we get to see it, and I'm very excited. We can actually all learn just how good Kenta actually is. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. I'm trying to keep this around an hour. I don't know how that will work, because there are a lot of really good matches I want to talk about. Let's start with A block. A block, you have Lance Archer, Evil, Bad Luck Fale, Kota Ibushi, Kenta, Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr., Sanada, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Those are in last name alphabetical order for those of you that couldn't figure that out. Or me when I was reading it, I'm like, why is Evil number 2? And Fale not number 1, because his name starts with a B. So I look at this block. You have two big guys, obviously, in Fale and Archer. New Japan's always been kind of high on Fale, aside from last year's tournament where he just got disqualified at every single turn because it was Bullet Club. You have the face of New Japan Wrestling currently in Kazuchika Okada. You have the ace of New Japan for a long time in Hiroshi Tanahashi. You have Kota Ibushi, I can never say his name right the first time, who always seemed to be on that doorstep, ready to get the championship, and has never been able to get the job done. You have Evil and Sanada, tag team partners in the same block. Kenta, the former face of Noah, like I already went on a little spiel about. You have Will Ospreay, who's maybe the best junior heavyweight in the world. And Zack Sabre Jr., who I think New Japan is really high on him, and I think we could see not the future, but Zack Sabre Jr. play a big role in the present for New Japan. I'm not saying he's going to be IWGP Heavyweight Champion, but maybe Intercontinental Champion within the next year and a half or so. Maybe. So let's take a look at all of these guys here in this tournament. And let's start at the top of the block. Well, top because of his name. Lance Archer. So Archer is somebody who's going to be trying to refine himself, I guess, for lack of a better term. He was a former multi-time IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champion with Davey Boy Smith. But Smith has now left New Japan to go off to either MLW or Ring of Honor. I keep wanting to say it's Ring of Honor. I think it was. And he's no longer under New Japan contract. So Archer's whole tournament, I think, is going to be about us refining him and him finding a new character, finding a new concept to revolve around. He's no longer doing the whole Splash Mountain bit where he's got 86,000 water bottles and everybody's going to get wet. He still says everybody dies, which is just true. Everybody dies at some point. But this whole tournament for him is going to be establishing himself as a singles wrestler, I think, going forward. I'm curious about how Suzuki-gun is going to play out after this, because they got 3 guys into the tournament in Archer, Zack Sabre Jr., and Tai Chi, but not Minoru Suzuki. They still have the junior heavyweights. They still have Desperado. They still have Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and they still have Taka Michinoku. But they don't really have a heavyweight tag team. You get Lance Archer and somebody else, there's your tag team. It would work really well, I think. But yeah, this whole tournament for Archer is just us going to be figuring out what he can do by himself. Because it's been a while since he's been in G1. And which is weird because in G1s, he's actually been really good. I remember reading at one point he finished tied for second just behind Okada in a block. How he did that, I have no idea. But I am very curious to see what he can do this year. I don't have high hopes for him. I have him getting 4 points. He's one of the guys that is not going to be alive for the block win in the final night. I think like maybe 4 guys I had would be unable to win the block going into the final night. Or something like that along those lines. I had A block a lot closer than I had B block. B block, I know it's between 2 guys. A block, I had like maybe 6 guys I rotated through at first. So that's going to be Archer's tournament. But somebody who already has a character is Evil. Evil is in a weird spot. It's the spots in Los Ingobernables right now are a little bit under. They have a question mark, I guess is the best way to say. After they won a 10-person tag team match where Naito, Bushi, Takagi, Sanada, and Evil were teaming against 5 other people. One of them was a junior heavyweight. 2 of them were probably junior heavyweights. They go for their signature fist bump in the middle of the ring. They're waiting on Evil and Sonata to join. Evil walks away. Sonata joins in on the fist bump. So it makes me wonder, is there, like, not dissension, but, like, questions in the ranks of Los Ingobernables de Japón? It really could be, and I've been saying this a long time, and I'll come back to it when I get to Shingo Takagi. Shingo is not going to be a junior heavyweight for long. He was a person to fill a spot in the tournament for the best of the Super Juniors, I think. And they wanted to build him up because he's going to be a big player at the heavyweight rank, I think. So they wanted to build him up so that way he was ready for that challenge. But also because they need someone to fill a spot for Hiromu while Hiromu's gone. He's going to be back soon. I don't know how soon, but soon. So I'm very excited to see when he does return. It could be at the G1 Climax final. Now to think about it, that could work very well. But the question now is, if say Takagi does move up to the heavyweight ranks, does everybody stay in LIJ or does somebody go? Evil kind of made it seem like he didn't feel like he belonged anymore. So they could be teasing Evil leaving. To me, Sonata makes more sense. I can talk about that when I get to him. I think Evil is in for an interesting tournament. He's in the block again with Okada, who he beat 2 years ago in block action. In a surprise to finish third in the block, just behind Okada and the person on Kenny Omega. I was like, who could have possibly been in the G1 final that year? It was Naito versus Omega. Evil's in an interesting spot. He's not a bad wrestler by any means. He's not shabby at all. But this is tough to put into words. Of the group of LIJ, to me, he's the worst in the group. That's the best way I can put it. And I look at it, I think he could be a lot better. And I think he's going to be good if he was a singles wrestler. Not in a tag team with Sonata, because they have nothing else for them to do. I would like to see just what Evil is capable of. And I think we can see that in this tournament. He's going to be going solo. He's going against his tag team partner on the third night of block action for A block. Evil's power is going to be what gets him points in this tournament, but also he's going to have to use his somewhat technical skill. He always does. He doesn't really show it a lot, but he can be sneaky technical. That's the best way I can put it. He can be a sneaky technician. He's got some good submission moves, especially the Banshee muzzle, but he does have some other ones that set up really well. That way he could neutralize the likes of Fale and Archer, but also because I think if he does that, you take out those two, Evil is at least a 50-50 shot in almost all the other matches. The only one I don't think he's a 50-50 shot in would be against Tanahashi and Okada. I've been wrong about the Okada one before. I would have taken Okada in the 2017 G1 against Evil. But you live and you learn. I think Evil's another one that's not going to be alive for the block win on the final night. So, there's that. Next would be Bad Luck Fale. Here's the weird thing about Fale. He's kind of not going through a style change. He's going through I guess the best way to put it is a character change, it kind of seems. He used to be the underboss, but now he's going by the Rogue General. So, how does that play into the tournament? How do we see this character work? Excuse me, yawning. A little tired. I don't know why. I want to see exactly what this character is for Fale before talking any more about it. But Fale in the ring, he's been maybe the best big man in recent history. I'm talking about the last 10 years. So from 2009 to 2019, Fale's in the running for best big man of that time. I can't even think about any other big men who have been as good as Fale in that time. I'm probably forgetting somebody really easy. But I do think him being second in command in Bullet Club is kind of tough for me to buy into him having a good tournament. I don't think he will because Bullet Club wants to focus on Jay White. And they're going to focus on Jay White. So Fale is going to kind of play second fiddle. He'll have a good tournament. He'll look really good. I have him finishing at 10 points, which is a little bit above his average. That 6 really dragged him down in the average, to be fair. The 6 he pulled last year, compared to the 10s and 12s he's pulled before. I think we could see the old Fale and he does get to 12, but I think 10 is a more reliable answer. I have him starting off by losing his first 3 matches. So he's going to pick it up somewhere. The back half of the tournament is a lot more kinder to him. So he's going to have to hope for a lot of help. I don't think he's going to get it, but it'll be interesting. So for Kota Ibushi, the best way I can describe him is as the guy who's right there but can't finish. It's like, for anybody that watches football, it's like the Kansas City Chiefs. When they had Alex Smith, they were good, but they just couldn't get to the Super Bowl. When they had Patrick Mahomes, which they still do, they were good. They still couldn't get to the Super Bowl. That's what I think Kota Ibushi is right now. He's good, and we all know he's good. He just can't get there yet. And it makes me upset about that because he's a very talented wrestler. But he just has so many names above him. Okada, Tanahashi. He had Omega above him for a long time. Naito's above him. He just can't break through and get to that championship that he knows he can win. He knows he can win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He beat Kenny Omega in the tournament last year. So I think we could see not Tanahashi. I'm not talking about Tanahashi. I'm talking about Ibushi. I think we could see Ibushi have another big tournament, and he's one of the guys that is alive going into the final night. I have him alive and well going into the final night. So I'm very curious as to just how Ibushi is going to approach this tournament. He's going to be the favorite in a good bit of his matches, but there are going to be a couple like Okada, Kenta, and Tanahashi where it's a 50-50 bet at best. I'm going to tell you to remember Ibushi. I'm going to try and remember everybody who I have alive going into the final night of the tournament. Ibushi is one of them. Another one is Kenta. I say this in my article of breaking down and predicting the G1, and I think it's true. This tournament decides Kenta's future. Not like his contract status or anything like that, but where exactly he goes in the future. Does he rise to the likes of Ibushi, Okada, Tanahashi, and he's a main event player? Or is he going to fall to the side like Goto? And who else has fallen to the side? I hate saying it, but Ishii. They're not main event players. They're great wrestlers. They just can't get to that stage. They can't get to that spot. So, you look at it, this is a big tournament for Kenta because a lot of us know him as Hideo Itami. That's how I remember him. I didn't get a chance to see him in Pro Wrestling Noah, so I don't know exactly what I missed. I think you look at it with Kenta, he came out with Shibata. Shibata's going to play a big influence into his future, maybe in like a manager type role. So then we could see a whole new side of Kenta, where striking is the main point, but also his submission game. Because if I remember Shibata right, he did have a couple of really good submission holds. So he was more focused on striking, yes, and I think Kenta will be too. But the submissions are what's going to really make him a wrestler. I think we look at it, in about a month and a half, let's come back to Kenta. And we'll talk about what exactly his future could be in New Japan. I think he could be, he might be a main player. I think he will be. And I do think him and Will Ospreay are going to kind of have the same thing where they can be used in the junior heavyweight ranks and the heavyweight ranks. And that's what it's going to be for the future. It's going to be a lot more junior heavyweights included in heavyweights because they're all very talented and we all think they deserve a chance. Which I'm very happy to see. And now for the person who is the top dog in New Japan and has been since he pretty much came back from excursion back in 2014, I want to say. The Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. This man just wins the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He doesn't lose the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He's always in the championship picture. Even last year when he was going under that weird character change thing, he was always included. He almost got to the finals of the G1 due to a time limit draw with Tanahashi. He didn't. So the Rainmaker Okada is back. He's won his championship back from Jay White, and now he's rolling. I'm very curious how he does in this tournament. He's in a very, very loaded block. He's lost to Evil before. I'm pretty sure. I think he lost to Ibushi at some point. He's never faced Kenta. He's lost to Zack Sabre Jr. He's lost to Tanahashi. He's beaten likes of Sonata and Ospreay before, but they know they can beat him. So Okada's going to have to bring out all the stops. I'm very curious to see it because he's the champion. You don't want the champion to have too good of a tournament, but you don't want him to have a bad tournament. So you're like in this weird thing. Last year, the big thing was with Omega. He was on a roll. And then he lost his last 3 matches, and all the momentum he had just kind of died. So Okada kind of has to they have to space out the losses better, which I think they will. I'm more optimistic about Okada's losses in G1 compared to the Kenny Omega losses last year. I do think, though, that he's going to beat a couple of these guys. He's beating Archer and Fale for sure. I'm pretty sure he's going to beat Evil. Pretty much Ibushi down. Ibushi, Kenta, Ospreay, Sabre Jr., Sonata, and Tanahashi are the big ones. I don't know if he's going to win. It's an interesting tournament, too, because whoever the champion loses to, they have to defend the title against them at a show after the tournament. So there's King of Pro Wrestling, there's the Destruction Tour, which I think has 3 stops this year, and there's the one that I always forget, that I'm still blanking on. There's another one before Wrestle Kingdom, I know that much. So he would have at least 3 losses. So Okada's going to be alive going into the final night. I think that's a certainty. I just don't have confidence picking a champion in a tournament where the winner gets a championship shot. So I'm taking Kazuchika Okada to be alive going into the final night. But I'm pretty sure if I had to pick, of the guys who I have alive going into the final night, if I had to pick a person who I am the most confident in that they will lose on that final night, it's going to be Kazuchika Okada. Somebody who I'm curious about this tournament overall, though, is Will Ospreay. Ospreay is the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, and he got put into a very good block, but also a very dangerous block, because you look at the rules for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. If you're under 220 pounds, or 220 and under, you can challenge for that title. In Will Ospreay's block, that sounded wrong when I said it the first time, you have Kota Ibushi, you have Kenta, you have Zack Sabre Jr., and you have Sonata. Over in B block, who are the junior heavyweights there? Shingo Takagi. That's it. Ospreay's in a block with 4 other junior heavyweights. Ospreay could easily lose to 1 or 2 of them, and there's a championship match. I have him losing to a specific one, and I will talk about it at the end. Because I do want to talk about where the championships I think could be going after this. After the tournament. Ospreay is going to be an interesting talk about the tournament. He's going to put on great matches with almost everybody, I think. The only person I don't think he matches up really well with would be Lance Archer. It's kind of because of the height thing. Like, he's had matches against him before. He's got a win over him. I just don't think Lance Archer matches up well with Will Ospreay for whatever reason. He matches up better with Fale. And Fale is just as big as Lance Archer. Fale is just as big as Lance Archer. There we go. So I think Will's going to have a decent tournament. He's not one of the guys that I have alive going into the final nights. It's tough to even talk about what Will Ospreay is even anymore. He's a heavyweight, but also flies around like a junior heavyweight. He weighs like a junior heavyweight, but he wrestles like a heavyweight. A lot of it is going to come down to Ospreay's adaptability. Archer and Fale are going to be able to pick him out of the air. He's got to be able to neutralize them early. Okada's got power over him. He's got to neutralize that power. Ibushi, Kenta, Zack Sabre Jr. and Sonata, he can just go all out with them. And Tanahashi's going to have to be more reserved. He got lucky he doesn't face Tanahashi till the final night. I have a thing about that, too. So then we get to Zack Sabre Jr. This is the one I have the most questions about, because when they were talking about him in the promo video, they mentioned the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship. Whoever Zack Sabre loses to in this tournament, do they get future championship shots? So say if, like, Sonata or Fale beat him. I was, like, looking through my list, like, who do I have beating him? Because I don't feel like flipping the page yet. If one of those two guys beat him, do they get a future Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship shot? That's my biggest question right now. If we follow the formula from the Best of Super Juniors, that would be true, because Phantasmo had to defend his Rev Pro British Cruiserweight Championship against Ryusuke Taguchi and Rocky Romero. I can see, and Zack Sabre Jr. is a guy who I think they want to build around for the future. I said before, I don't think he's going to win the World Heavyweight Championship anytime soon, but I could see him winning the Intercontinental title in a year and a half-ish or so, once they get it off of Naito and have it go somewhere else. But that being said, I do think Sabre Jr. is going to be alive going into the final night. I expect him to be alive going into the final night. Last year, he finished tied for the B Block win with Omega, Naito, and Ibushi. He could easily be a player again this year, and I think he will be. If a certain scenario had worked out for Zack Sabre Jr. on last year's tournament, he would have won the block. And we would have been talking about Tanahashi versus Zack Sabre Jr. in the final, instead of Tanahashi versus Ibushi. But I am curious about Sabre, too, because he does have the striking ability and he has the technical ability. But can he keep up with the high-flying ability? If Ibushi, Kenta, Ospreay, and Sonata, who are better high flyers, they're the better high flyers than Zack Sabre Jr. in this tournament, if they pick up the pace and they want to get it flying around, can Sabre keep up? That's a major question I have. And that's a question I want to see answered in this tournament. We won't see it till, well, we'll see the first night when Sabre takes on Sonata there at Dallas. So then we look at one of the guys I've mentioned a few times already, Sonata. I've talked about Sonata a lot. I enjoy him in the ring. I think he might be my favorite professional wrestler going right now. I always flip-flop between him and Marty Scurll. So we look at Sonata. He's been such a talented wrestler. He has so much talent. He's so good in that ring. Yet they don't give him a chance at all. He's in the block with the heavyweight champion, the Rev Pro champion, and the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Why couldn't you put him in the block with the Intercontinental Champion, the United States Champion, and the Openweight Champion? Why? Harold Maya, please tell me why. I'm very excited for Sonata. I'm always excited for Sonata in these tournaments. He's got a chance to show off just how good he is. He did it last year when he beat Ibushi before the final. And I think Sonata is going to be a big player this year. He got a relatively good draw, too. He's matches against Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay, and Hiroshi Tanahashi in against Evil his first 3 nights, not Tanahashi. Those are 3 winnable matches. He then faces the big 4, and then he closes out with the other guys he hasn't faced yet. So, I'm very curious, though, as to what Sonata's future is in general. Say if Takagi does jump to heavyweight, and there's an odd man out in LIJ, and it's not Evil, because I think Evil, I'm not going to say Evil needs LIJ, but he works better with LIJ. Sonata could be his own man, easily. And I think that's the thing. I don't know if he's leaving New Japan. I don't know if he's going to be staying in New Japan. On Cage Match, he's listed as a freelancer. So he could technically leave. He's not under contract with New Japan. So my big question is, what is Sonata's future? What does this tournament tell us about that? And how much do they believe in Sonata? I could get this prediction 100% wrong, and they give Sonata the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom 14. I would be very fine with that if they do. But I want to see I want to see them buy into Sonata because he is very talented and he might be the best wrestler walking the earth today. I think he could easily. He just needs that last little guarantee, or not guarantee. What's the word? He just needs somebody to believe in him. He just needs some belief. If Gato can believe him, believe in Sonata, we could see the birth of the next star in professional wrestling. And I think we really could. And I do have Sonata being alive going into the final night. But it's very cautious to always pick Sonata because it's like, oh, I feel confident it's going to be this person, and he loses to that person because they just haven't bought into Sonata. I'm like, well, great, what do I do now? That leaves one person left in the A block, and it is the ace of the universe, Hiroshi Tanahashi. What does this man have left to prove? Tanahashi has done it all in professional wrestling. I've enjoyed watching him in the ring. I think he's going to be a very good wrestler. He's been a very good wrestler. I think he's going to continue to be good. But these injuries are just mounting up. How much longer do we get to enjoy Hiroshi Tanahashi? You can ask the same question with a lot of these guys. Ishii's getting up there in age. Who else is getting up there in age? Suzuki is getting up there in age. Kojima's up there in age. Tenzan is up there in age. So Tanahashi is still going to be going for a couple more years, but we should enjoy that while it lasts. I'm just curious what he has left that he could do. He's won the G1 3 times. He's not going to catch Inoki at 10. There's no way. So what really is there left for him to do? The only titles he hasn't won are the IWGP US Championship and the Never Openweight Championship that I know of. He might not have won the heavyweight tag team title yet. There could be that. But Tanahashi, he's a phenomenal wrestler, amazing talent. One of the guys that doesn't get a lot of praise when you think about New Japan nowadays, but he is still somebody you should watch out for because he's very good. He's very sneaky good. And of course, because it's Tanahashi in New Japan, you have the one in a century superstar alive in the final night. So going into the final night alive for the A block win, I have Kota Ibushi, Kenta, Kazuchika Okada, Zack Sabre Jr., Sonata, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think I did the math wrong because if there's 6 guys, that would cause a tie at the top, and I only have one guy getting past 10 points. Maybe it's Zack Sabre Jr. that's not alive going into the final night. Yeah, it would be Sabre Jr. not alive going into the final night. So I have Kota Ibushi, Kenta, Okada, Sonata, and Tanahashi alive going into the final night. Wait, yeah, that math works. That math works, yes. Okay, good. So in the final night, the card is Lance Archer versus Evil, Bad Luck Fale versus Sonata, Kenta versus Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kazuchika Okada versus Kota Ibushi. Here's how I think the card is going to work out. Because the entire cards are all listed, even with the undercard matches, the tag team specials. They don't have the official match listing yet for the final night of A Block action because the points decide the match card. Here's what I'm saying. Archer and Evil are already eliminated. They're out. But everybody else who has a match that night has somebody who's alive. Fale is taking on Sonata. Sonata's still alive. Kenta's taking on Zack Sabre Jr. Kenta's still alive. Ospreay versus Tanahashi. Tanahashi's alive. Okada, Ibushi, both are alive. I have Fale beating Sonata because they don't believe in Sonata. Also because Fale's a lot bigger, so you just overpower Sonata probably. You have Kenta versus Zack Sabre Jr. in a matchup I didn't know I wanted until I saw it. I think Sabre Jr. can get the win there, simply because Kenta could be like looking past him to the final, and they could play off of that into the future. And then we get to the semi-main, which would be Ospreay versus Tanahashi. I look at it like this. There's one person who said they want Tanahashi. It's not somebody in this tournament. It's somebody who we have heard from recently. Chris Jericho. I can see Jericho costing Tanahashi behind the referee's back and Ospreay just capitalizing on it and getting the win. And that would eliminate Tanahashi. There's Tanahashi's Wrestle Kingdom match in Tanahashi versus Jericho. And then we get to the main event of Okada versus Kota Ibushi, where I said it earlier, the champion never wins the tournament. Even if the champion wins the block, that kind of makes it feel unright because we already know the championship match is going to be whoever he wants. So I have Kota Ibushi for the second year in a row winning his block. Now the question is, who does he face? Well, let's look at B block and some of the contenders. You have Jeff Cobb, Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Jon Moxley, Tetsuya Naito, Juice Robinson, Taichi, Shingo Takagi, and Toru Yano. I have two guys who are alive going into the final night. I'll just say that right now. I'll leave the suspense in the air for right now as to who it would be. So let's look at Jeff Cobb. This was maybe the biggest surprise because of the rumors that came out maybe a day before the blocks were out that New Japan stars do not like working with the Ring of Honor guys. Jeff Cobb's a Ring of Honor guy. So him being in the tournament's a bit of a surprise. But I also do say this, I still wouldn't be surprised if New Japan goes through Ring of Honor and starts to pick the pieces they want. One of them being Jeff Cobb, who I think would work very well in New Japan. He's a big guy, but he can go like a junior heavyweight. Look at his match with Will Ospreay is proof of that. And he's willing to do anything, which is always nice to see. Cobb's power game is his big thing, but I am very curious as to what exactly he does in the future. Because he just got beat by Matt Taven at Best in the World in about 10 minutes. So I'm not even sure if he's going to stay around in Ring of Honor. So Cobb going to New Japan wouldn't be a surprise, and I would be happy to see it. Also, it would add in a new threat because Cobb's size, he could match up with anybody really, and that would be a very interesting matchup too. Cobb's just like a big boned guy. I say that, but he's a big guy. He's got a background in amateur wrestling, and I'm very, very excited to see what he can do. Partly because of the fact that there's still that question mark of what exactly is Jeff Cobb's limit. What exactly can he not do? And if he does join New Japan, hopefully he does get to eventual main event success. Not right away. Maybe he's toys around in the undercard. Wins the Never Openweight Championship again. Intercontinental and U.S. Championships possibly. Hopefully he doesn't turn into a Hiroki Goto. I said this in my article, and I still feel bad about it, but it's true. Hiroki Goto might be the most forgettable G1 winner in history. I hate saying it. It's true, though, I think. He's very talented. I enjoy him in the ring. He might have had the match of the year last year when him and Ishii met in the G1. But now it's like, what have you done for me lately? We haven't seen Goto since the New Japan Cup, really. Well, not in a meaningful match. And now it's like, where do we go from this? What's next? And if Goto can have a good tournament, that would be nice. I do have him having a really good tournament. I have him getting 10 points. I don't think he's alive going into the final night. I think maybe 4 guys are. Yes, 4 guys would be. But I do think this could be a start of something for Goto. He's teaming a lot with Yoshihashi on this tour. And I like to speak it into existence that I want to see Goto and Yoshihashi as a normal team. Please. Because New Japan, like I said before, their biggest issue, they don't have a good tag team scene. You take 2 guys who have struggled in the singles division, put them together in Goto and Yoshihashi, there's a tag team. When David Finlay, I don't remember his first name there, when Finlay comes back from injury, Fit Juice is back. When you have Mikey Nichols who needs something to do, find him a partner, put him in the heavyweight tag division because he's too heavy to be a junior heavyweight. So Goto's big thing for this tournament is going to be kind of reestablishing himself. I think he could do very well simply because of the block he's in, and they need. Okay, outside of Ishii, White, and Naito, the top 4 are kind of hard to guess. So you put Goto into the conversation. Moxley's obviously in the conversation. Juice Robinson, Shingo Takagi, Jeff Cobb even. You have like 4 guys fighting for that 4th spot. There's going to be at least 3 guys going alive into the final night, possibly even 5. So I think Goto could be in that conversation for it. But again, I don't think he's going to join the likes of Naito and Tanahashi in winning their second G1. Which is unfortunate. He's a very good striker. He's very hard-hitting. He's very bruiser-like. And the more I look at it, the more he doesn't belong in Chaos because they do have that already in Tomohiro Ishii. It's weird when a stable has like 2 of the similar guys who aren't a team. Maybe put Ishii and Goto together, for all I know. But I think this is going to be Goto's tournament of refinding himself and getting back to the mountaintop that he knows he can reach. Whether it's the Never Openweight Championship, the IWGP US Championship, or the Intercontinental Championship, Goto wants something. So I think this is the tournament that we could see that. Then you have Tomohiro Ishii, who I keep saying this, he should be a main event player, and he can be a main event player. I think Ishii might be the best kept secret in New Japan Pro Wrestling right now. So the big thing with him, he's a big bruiser, but all his moves also look really crisp. He just has a certain something about him. I look at Ishii in the ring. He moves around there very well for a guy his size and a guy with no neck. Sorry, but I was let jab in, which is fun. So, what exactly is keeping him from that scene? I think it's Okada kind of being in the main event scene already for Chaos, but I do want to see more Chaos representation in the main event scene, and the perfect guy for that is Ishii. Everybody loves him. I've not heard one bad complaint about Ishii. He's a very talented wrestler, and I'm very excited to see what he can do in this tournament. Especially, like I said, in this block. He's one of the 3 favorites, I think. So, just exactly what does he do and how does he get there? I'll be very interested to see. And I think Ishii, I have him alive into the final night for the block win, but he would need a lot of help. Actually, now that I look at it, math-wise, only 2 people are alive going into the final night of B block. So a lot of these, so forget whatever I said about people being alive. It's only 2 guys. Now, since I talked about Ishii, also Ishii's Never Openweight Championship is going to be an interesting one to watch because whoever beats him, regardless of weight class, is going to get a Never Openweight Championship shot. And remember what I just said there, regardless of weight class. So after Ishii comes Jon Moxley, and I don't know what to expect in this tournament from Jon Moxley. Moxley is under contract from AEW after having just left WWE, and now he's competing in maybe the biggest tournament in the world in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's wrestled for the 3 biggest companies in 3 months. Not even. God. I don't expect a lot from Moxley in this tournament, to be honest, because he's not under New Japan contract, so I don't want him to have the best showing ever. I have him getting 10 points, but I don't think he's going to have the best outing possible. I'm trying to remember who I have him losing to. I know I have him losing to Naito and White. I also have him losing to Juice. But that's the thing, that only sets up 1 championship match afterwards, so how can he lose his title and just be a thing in All Elite Wrestling? I'll explain that. There's a certain somebody not in this tournament who I think is going to play into the IWGP US Championship in the future, the very near future. But we'll get to that after everything else. I think Moxley, his style is tough to describe still. I didn't watch a lot of Moxley on the independent scene, so it's still tough to talk about him. I have memories of Dean Ambrose, that's about it. And he did some okay stuff there. He looked really good. That was about it as far as his character was. Meh. Right now in New Japan, he has a thing about biting people. I'm very optimistic about Moxley in New Japan, but I want to see more than him just biting people's heads. But here's somebody who I do know a lot about, Tetsuya Naito. This man has made a lot of things about wanting to be the first ever Intercontinental and Heavyweight Champion in New Japan history. First ever dual champion I should say. So I look at it. I don't know if that's going to be what happens. I'm curious if it does. But Naito, whenever he's in this tournament, he's always one of the favorites. He's a very popular wrestler. He's very good, and his story has to come to an end. So for those that don't know, I'll try and recap it really quickly. Naito won his first G1 Climax in 2013, I believe. Yes, 2013. He was then voted out of the main event by the fans. And him and Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship went on second to last. And he lost. The main event that year was Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, he went away to Mexico for a while, joined Los Ingobernables, came back, and formed LIJ, eventually won the championship due to heel tactics, lost it back to Okada, and the rise of Tetsuya Naito is now ongoing, and it has to end at some point. What's better than having him finally end that story? If you couldn't tell, he's one of the guys I have going into the final night of B Block alive. So, Naito's whole thing is he's very calm in the ring. He doesn't get flustered, he doesn't get nervous, he doesn't get upset. He focuses on staying very tranquilo. He wants to stay calm because that way he can focus better, and his moveset works very well with that. His dropkick, his combination is Cabron Combination? Or is it Combination Cabron? I think it's Cabron Combination. I'm going to say it's that one. It works very well to him relaxing, and he also just has a calmness about him that's kind of eerie. I think you look at it, Naito in this tournament he is a very heavy favorite, to be fair. I'm very excited to see what we can see, and I'm curious what Naito even does that we haven't seen in a while. Maybe we see a Stardust press or two. And somebody else who really needs to impress the tournament, Juice Robinson. I'm not saying it because Juice is a bad wrestler. I'm saying it because Juice just lost his title, and he needs something. So, Juice needs a good tournament to be able to get that something. And him having a good tournament would be vital. I think Juice is one of those weird ones to describe. He has good striking, but he's not a brawler. He has some good moves, but he's not a technician. He has a decent moveset, but he's not a moveset guy. I think the best way to describe Juice Robinson is that he's just a charismatic son of a gun. Everyone just loves him and they're drawn to him, and that's always cool. It's good for him. I'm very curious, though, in this block, who does he beat? I think Taichi and Toru Yano are pretty obvious wins for him. I think I gave him Jeff Cobb. I'm trying to remember now. I say I'm trying to remember like I don't have it written down in front of me. The problem is always finding his name fast enough. Like right now. I am losing his first four? No, I am losing the first three. Yeah, I haven't beaten Yano, Ishii, Moxley, and one other one. Not Taichi? Jay White. Oh yeah, because he did beat White for the championship. That was my thinking behind that. Okay. I'm very excited for Juice in this tournament because I want to see what he does now that he doesn't have a championship. And how does he go through the summer? Does he chase that championship to become a 3-time IWGP United States champion? Or does he change his sights and go after something else? Do we even see a character switch, kind of? It all depends on whenever Dave Finlay comes back from injury. And if they're together in the World Tag League, fantastic. I would be happy to see that. It would be a good tag team addition to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship Tag Team Championship race. But Juice in this tournament needs to find something, and I'm hoping he can find it. And now for maybe the biggest surprise of the tournament, Taichi. A lot of people don't like Taichi. I think he's actually pretty decent. I think he's able to get the job done when they need him to. The thing is, he's the one guy in this tournament, now that I look at everybody, he's the one guy that will resort to heel tactics to win. Outside interference, foreign objects. He's going to have his microphone stand. He's going to have Miho Abe with him, his, I think, an actual real-life wife. And possibly Doki, which would be very interesting. And we could, if I would say more Doki, the better, because I actually really like Doki from the Best of the Super Juniors. The thing is, with Taichi being in this tournament, it brought up the question, how do they even decide this field? You give Taichi a spot, but not Minoru Suzuki. Not the leader of Suzuki-gun, but one of the goons in Suzuki-gun. Really? Wow. I think Taichi's an interesting case. They want to build him up to be a big thing, and he's been pretty good. He's a pretty good wrestler. But I don't think he's going to be even mid-card title worthy. He's going to be a never open weight guy, I think, his whole career. Which could be perfectly fine. That's perfectly a good spot for him. He would be always featured on the card. But I don't know exactly what else there really is for Taichi in professional wrestling. He could maybe get one run with the Intercontinental, maybe a couple runs with the US, but that would be really it. So Taichi's kind of an afterthought in this tournament. I do have him beating Ishii. So we'll see. We will see. Next is Shingo Takagi. Shingo is coming off of the fantastic Best of the Super Juniors, where he ran the table in block action, then lost to Ospreay in the finals. In this tournament, he's not going to run the block because that would mean he's in the finals. He's not the other guy I have alive going into the final night. I think Shingo in this tournament is going to show just how good he is and that he can go with the heavyweights, but also prove that his run in Dragon Gate wasn't a fluke, which I think they could kind of build that up in this tournament and then have him win. I have him getting 8 points. I have him beating Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, Tomohiro Ishii, and Taichi. Wow, I have him getting off to a freaking fast start. I have him starting off at 6. Wow. Okay, maybe that's not going to be the story then, if he starts off that fast. Maybe the story's going to be, okay, we know how good he is, but now he hasn't gone up against a real main event guy. Because this one's going to be Juice Robinson, who's a mid-card guy right now, Toru Yano, who's a low-card guy, and Taichi, who's going to be a low-card guy. And then he'll beat Ishii, which would put him into an interesting scene. Because Taichi belongs in the never open weight scene. Takagi can use that as a starting point to his future, because I think maybe in quite a few years we could see Shingo Takagi as IWGP Heavyweight Champion, which I would be very fine with. I'd be very excited to see that. Takagi's style kind of works well with Ishii and Goto's because they're all bruisers, and they all have a certain crispness about their moves. They just look a lot better executed than other people do. So Takagi in this tournament kind of is a weird spot because of the fact that he's in that weird middle phase. He's not a heavyweight, but he's not really a junior heavyweight. So what really is he? And that's what this tournament's going to be kind of figuring out. Where exactly do we put Takagi in these conversations? Does he belong in the heavyweight conversation, or does he belong in the junior heavyweight conversation? Answer's going to be heavyweight because I think he's going to look great in this tournament. Now we get to Jay White, who is the other guy I have alive going into the final night of B Block. So, Jay White's whole thing now is that he's the leader of Bullet Club. He runs the show there. He's a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion and a former IWGP United States Champion. He's a guy who's kind of a big mixed mag of a big smorgasbord of a wrestler who can do a little bit of it all. He's not a big striker guy, to be fair, but he can do submission holds with the best of them, and he can do moveset stuff with the rest of them. So Jay White is a very interesting guy, and plus he's so young. This guy is the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I'm very excited for that future. I think Jay White is somebody they're going to build this company around, and Jay White is it's so weird to think about. Like, he just graduated from being a young lion. He's already a former IWGP heavyweight champion. So I look at it, I think it's tough because I think about it like this. Say Jay White does get to the finals of this tournament. Do you have him beat Kota Ibushi? Or do you have Ibushi beat him to get the championship match, and you see two faces going at each other in Okada and Ibushi again? I will say I do have my winner coming out of B block. It's tough to even think about it because it's like there's so many other variables like fatigue and injuries that could happen that could derail everything I just said. And I don't want the injuries to happen, but it's a real thing that could happen. Everything could just get derailed, and I'm just left sitting here sounding like an idiot, like I always do. The other person left in B block is Toru Yano. I have him getting 2 points. Sorry, Yano. I'm just not a fan. That's what it is. Who do I even have you beating? I have Yano beating... Where the hell is Yano's win? Oh, Goto. Okay. So the final night, the match card doesn't matter because only 2 people are alive. I have Jay White and Tetsuya Naito, who meet on the final night. So coincidentally, I have Naito winning because I think the story is good. The story would be a good end there. And Naito, Ibushi into the finals. You end that story with Naito walking out on top. My winner of the G1 Climax is Tetsuya Naito. Now the big question. What's the deal with the titles here? Well, whoever beats the champion gets a championship match. So, let's start from the top and work our way down. IWGP Heavyweight Champion is Kazuchika Okada. So, I have him losing to Zack Sabre Jr., ow, my elbow. Kenta, and I also am losing to Sonata. And obviously I have him losing to Kota Ibushi. So, how is this going to work? Well, there's Royal Quest. That was the one I was forgetting earlier. There's Royal Quest still to come. They need a main event for that. Who's a UK guy? Zack Sabre Jr. I am losing to Kenta, so there's the Destruction Tour. And the last Destruction match would be... The last match at the Destruction Tour of the 3 pay-per-view shows they do would be Kenta versus Okada. And Sonata would be the King of Pro Wrestling match. And also that kind of plays into my thought process behind that match, because I think that one needs the most defending. Sonata has never beaten Okada one-on-one. They hype it up as that. Going into that match, Sonata would be on a bit of a losing streak. I think I have him losing his 3 before that. To Ibushi, Tanahashi, and Kenta. Was it Ibushi? Yeah. So, you can also kind of play it up like you have a guy who's on a losing streak and has never beaten this guy, and it's not going to happen tonight, and then it does. And that keeps Sonata's hopes alive for the tournament. And he still has a chance to win the title and the tournament. I'm very excited about Sonata if he can't beat Okada. I want to see it happen. Now I don't think it will because I said it. But with that match, it's also kind of like these two have history. They know each other so well. Sonata reverses the Rainmaker into a roll-up, and that's how you end the match. So that's Okada's. I don't think Ibushi would get the challenge because of the fact that he had the G1 Climax final. He failed that. He failed to get a chance to challenge for it. So his win in the block is nullified. I'm not sure exactly how, but that's how it would work. Then there's the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Also, I have Okada retaining the title, obviously, so that way you set up Okada versus Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 14 on the second night, because night 1 is probably going to be main evented by Jushin Thunder Liger's final match. Or another match that I will talk about in a second. Let's go to the Intercontinental Championship first, though. Naito. Who do I have Naito losing to in this tournament? I don't remember, so I gotta read. I have him losing to Jeff Cobb because I needed him to lose a match somewhere. Mostly. I think it was Ishii was the other one. Because I have Naito at 14. Yeah, I'm losing to Ishii. So those would be the two. Ishii and Cobb. But I don't think they would challenge it. I think somebody else would stake their claim and say they want another shot at Naito. That means Jay White. Now, Naito has made this big deal about wanting to be a double champion. Imagine if Jay White steals that from him. Jay White wins the Intercontinental title away from Naito. And then we can focus on having an Intercontinental title match also. So I think we see Jay White win the Intercontinental title from Naito. And then Naito just has to focus on the Heavyweight Championship. But Jay White would have to win it early. Maybe the Destruction Tour. I think that would be the best spot possible, to be fair. Royal Quest is a little too early after the G1 win. But it could work there too. But I think the Destruction Tour would be a lot more impactful. And then at King of Pro Wrestling, Naito defends that championship contract against White. Or maybe against Jeff Cobb or Tomohiro Ishii. Preferably Ishii, to be fair. Sorry, Cobb. There's also the IWGP US Championship, Jon Moxley. Moxley, I have losing to, like I already said, Naito, White, and Robinson. None of them challenge him for the title. You know why? There's a certain person who was left out of the G1 who wants something for it, probably. That man is Minoru Suzuki. Suzuki challenges Jon Moxley to the IWGP US Championship match. And imagine if Suzuki wins the title off of Moxley. That would be something really huge. I would really like to see that. Who else is a champion? What's his face? Tomohiro Ishii. He is the never openweight champion. I have him losing a couple matches, actually. I have him losing to Moxley. I have him losing to Moxley. I don't think Moxley's going to challenge for the title, though. I have him losing to White. White's not going to want to challenge for the title. He wants something else, probably. He beat Naito. Where's Ishii? I have him losing to Juice Robinson, so he could defend the title against Juice. I also have him losing to Taichi, so we see a Taichi Ishii rematch. So there will be Royal Quest with Juice, and then you have the Destruction Tour for Taichi. You have King of Pro Wrestling would maybe be somebody else, because I think the only other person I have him losing to is Shingo Takagi. And I think Takagi would want that match at Wrestle Kingdom. And that's when you establish Takagi as a future star for New Japan, which I'd be very excited to see and very happy to see, because I think Takagi could be a moneymaker. I think he will be. Is that all the champions? The Rev Pro one I kind of already talked about, so I don't know. The other one is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. I only have Ospreay getting 8 points, which means Ospreay would defend the title 4 times. One of them would be at Wrestle Kingdom. I'll tell you who I have him losing to. I have Will Ospreay losing to Sonata, Okada, who is not at the weight class, Zack Sabre Jr. It's so hard to find these names. Evil, who's not at the weight class, and Kenta. And losing 6 matches. 4 of those guys are at the junior heavyweight weight class. I see him defending against Sonata, which is a surprise because Sonata is at 220. So there is a championship match there. I have him losing to Sabre Jr., so that could be the Destruction or King of Pro Wrestling match. And then the other one is Kenta. So I think that could be the Wrestle Kingdom main event on night 1. 2 big names who you didn't know you wanted to see square off until they announced the blocks, and now you have to see it. I think it'll be very interesting because of the fact that it's 2 guys who are a big clash of styles. Ospreay's a big high flyer, and Kenta's a big striker guy. So it would be a very interesting matchup, too. You have two unique styles where both guys don't really know each other anyway. So how do they match up with each other? Who knows? Yeah, that's all I really have today. Like I said, I have Naito winning the G1. I had the final being Ibushi versus Naito. I'm very excited for it. Like I said, it starts on Saturday. I keep thinking today's like Thursday. Or not Thursday. I keep thinking today's like Wednesday. And it's not. So, like I said, Naito is my pick to win the G1. He has always been my pick to win the G1 this year. Nobody has changed it. Nobody has changed my mind, which is weird. Usually, like I said, I change my mind about 15 times before this, this tournament happens. I'm, like I said, excited. This is going to be a great tournament again this year. I'm actually very happy that certain people are not in it, but I'm also very excited that with Suzuki not being in it and Yoshihashi not being in it, what hell those two could raise. But that is all I have for today, guys. There's my G1 Climax predictions. We will have weekly updates of the tournament for the month and a half that it goes on. What else am I forgetting to say? Oh, yeah, like always, final plugs. Twitter is Churro Solider. Not Facebook. If you want to follow this podcast, you can follow it on Twitter at Podcast Armchair. If you want to follow what I write, you can follow All Things Combat, which is a website where we write about boxing, MMA, and pro wrestling. Like I said, we still have our SummerSlam series going on. What else do I have to plug? That's really it. As always, if you like what you hear, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to hear more. That's really it, guys. So thank you for listening, and I will see you guys next week with a quick G1 update, or whatever I called the Best of the Super Juniors ones, and my Extreme Rules predictions, because that pay-per-view will be... It has my attention right now. It doesn't have my interest. I have attention towards it, and I'm curious about where it could be going. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Hope you enjoyed listening. Bye.